Hi, Trainer Emily here, and welcome to Training Trax, the web series where I break down the steps for training your backcountry canine companion. And this, of course, is Zuzu, my ever-ready backcountry canine companion. Yep, who wants to be petted all the time. So, today we're going to talk about target training. What is target training? Target training is teaching an animal to either touch with a part of his body or focus his attention on an object or a place. So most of the time when we teach a place type training, we have some sort of indicator or object that the dog is supposed to focus on and then later remove it. This, for instance, is just a nut lid from a can of mixed nuts, but it works great for a object for target training because it's really cheap and it's very obvious. So I use these frequently for foot target training. Another object for target training is a target stick. So the dog is taught to touch their nose to the ball on the end. And the nice thing about this one is it's telescoping, so I can make it different lengths. Yes, good girl. Just like that. But you don't have to have an object in order to teach your dog to target train. In fact, for the purposes of this video, we're just going to focus on teaching the dog to target their nose to your hand. And that will be useful for other things. In fact, why should we even bother with target training? Well, target training is a good foundation for a lot of behaviors. Come, for instance, you use your hand target to teach a dog to come to you and touch you as part of recall training. Another useful purpose for target training is it's helpful in indicating to the dog how you want them to move their body. So if you want them to curve or move around an object, you can have them follow your hand as a target to get around it effectively. Another useful thing for target training is teaching your dog where to be when you indicate a spot. So one of the things that I found while I was out on the Appalachian Trail was we would come up to shelters, and sometimes shelter space was limited. And of course, I didn't want my dog to be a problem. I didn't want her to step on other people's inflatable mattresses. That would be bad, and that would probably be expensive for me. So one of the things I had to teach her was, I want you to go over here, and use my hand to guide her to where I wanted her to be. It was very useful for that. If you really think about it, target training could have potentially lots of uses, whether it is guiding a dog around an object, or another good one would be when they're getting in a car, if you want them to be in a certain spot in the car rather than on the seat. So it's a very, very useful thing, and it's a great foundation behavior. So, in order to teach hand targeting, there's a few things that you'll need to prepare ahead of time before you begin. The first thing you'll need, of course, is a nice workspace that has few distractions. That way your dog isn't tempted to get up and walk away in the middle of your training session. The second thing you need, of course, is treats. You need something to reinforce the dog with so that they understand when they've done the correct behavior and are motivated to continue working with you. The third thing that needs to be prepared ahead of time is that your dog needs to know what a marking signal is. So whether that is a click from a clicker, good girl, or the word yes, those things should have been conditioned to your dog before you start training this behavior. All right, first steps. Flat hand, present it to the dog in front of their nose. Except that she is not paying attention. Hey, Zuzu. Yes. Zuzu has already been taught this behavior, so she immediately touched my hand. However, if your dog has never learned this type of behavior before, you may need to reward your dog for simply looking at the hand or sniffing your hand. With repetition, your dog will get the idea that, gee, it's something about me touching that person's hand that makes the treats happen. Yes. You'll notice I'm presenting my hand right in front of the dog's nose. That way it's pretty easy for the dog to do. And they're least likely to make a wrong choice. Yes. Good girl. However, as the dog improves and you see that the dog is actively moving towards your hand, you can gradually increase the distance. Good girl. Yes. Good girl. Vary the location. Yes. 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 And then eventually you can start adding on the cue word. The one I like to use is the word touch. Touch. Yes. Notice I say the word right before presenting the hand. Touch. Good job. Once your dog is consistently doing that, you can use the touch behavior for those other behaviors that I mentioned. If you want to move your dog. Touch. Yes. Or change her body position. Yes. All of those things can now be worked on. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.